Hi everyone, Wolf Branch Homestead here. We still don't have our phone and we don't have a way to edit videos, so we're going to have to just do a solid walkthrough video as long as our battery will last here on the camera. We're going to take the goats out in the woods for a little bit and show you some of the things that are blooming or maybe finishing up blooming or getting ready to bloom. We're going to show you some of these things that are very important for our pollinator friends, some things that are very fragrant and beautiful. We're going to start right here with our white clover. This is out in the grass, and the clover here with those little beautiful white flowers. That's a very important source for our honeybee friends. We've got the little, I think everybody just calls these buttercups out here. We can't quite focus like we could with the phone on this camera, so forgive me as we walk and get sorted here to let the goats out. Wild blackberries. There goes the blue jay. We've got a pair of blue jays that are hanging around. But the wild blackberry is blooming really nicely, usually about mid-April from what I remembered. Let's get the goats out here. I hear you. There goes Yusuke. If I do zoom in and out with this camera, you'll hear some clicking. I apologize. Again, we're kind of in a pickle. We were posting and streaming more frequently, and now that's kind of been messed up. We went to get another phone, and it has been lost in transit, so we're kind of at a standstill now for almost 2 weeks. Everything's grown up a lot out here. I can't tell if that was a thrush I just saw or a blue jay. Nope, that's the warbler, and then a swallowtail butterfly going by. We've got a few different warbler species out right now. I think we have hooded in Tennessee, both of those species. So everything's really grown up, very, very green. The camera, it's kind of hard to tell with our quality here. Oh, here they come. There's Yusuke. He will be a year old very soon. He's got a birthday coming up. There's Dad Kuwabara and Mom Botan. Dad's still got a little bit of shedding to do. He's got some thick hair under there still. Mom has lost basically all of her winter coat, and we should be past our risk of a last frost, usually right after mid-April. So everybody's planting right now. Up the road, there's a field that just started baling silage. They were working yesterday and working today. We should have some hay coming in soon. So right here, we're going to try to keep the goats away from this. They'll probably go up to it. We'll try to walk them by it. Okay, they'll stay over there. So right here, you'll see this brown vine with these little bits on the end here. And if you go up the vine a little bit, what do we have there? Wild honeysuckle. Beautiful yellow and white blooms on this wild honeysuckle. And the hummingbirds have been hanging out in the woods. They're waiting on this to bloom out because the hummingbirds will come visit this. Last year we had a really beautiful female that would sit out here and guard over this patch of honeysuckle. It's thinned out a lot, and we're trying to keep the goats from eating on any of this so that they have that nectar source out here. The unfortunate part is now with all of this growth, all of the ticks out, we're not going to be able to go down to the branch like we had been, but we are still on the trail. So it's been a while since we've done a walk and ramble, and again, this is going to be different because this isn't the phone, it's the camera. He's barking, he's ready to go on a walk already. Gotta let it cool down a little bit more. Hasn't been too bad, but still. And we've got mosquitoes all over the place, so I'm trying to get them off of me here. Had my first tick stuck on me. The first tick of the year. And what they like to do, we'll have to watch the goats and make sure they don't have any on them, but in any of this stuff that's up almost about boot level, clusters of baby ticks will stick on there. They'll wait for something to come by and they'll stick to it. And so I'll have to get another pair of like rubber work boots. I can get a cheap pair whenever I go to the farm supply store. And I'll have those so I can kind of get the ticks washed off of my boots pretty easily. But they will make their way up your legs before you know it, and you'll just be in for some trouble. So we're watching out for ticks, and also very much so watching out for snakes. Hopefully over the sound of the bells that picked up on the camera. 2 barred owls were caterwauling with one another. I don't know that I've ever got that recorded before, so hopefully it sounds all right on here. We're looking up onto the dogwood. You can't really see it at all, but right in here there's a few little blooms left. Oh, these mosquitoes are just going to get me today. We've got a few little dogwood blooms, but as you can see from our normal point, we would start going down to the branch. All of this has just leafed out and it's really overgrown. So here they go hooting again. Let's see if we can talk to them. I didn't say the right words today, I guess. Sometimes you can do it. Oh, there we go. Let's do a single one back. Sometimes they'll really get to talking with you. But we're not going to walk all the way down to the branch just because it is so overgrown. We're really trying to be careful with snakes. But there's such a pleasant smell right now that's coming off of the wild azaleas. There's a few late ones. There's a few late ones blooming. There's a light pink here. Old Reliable, this was dark pink, and this is a dying off light pink one. I don't know if we can go over there, but the smell from the wild azalea, very, very nice smell. There goes a squirrel down there. I don't know if you could see him go up the tree. Lots of fern down here coming up. That's what the majority of the ground cover is now, is fern, which makes it very hard to see. There's our nice, pretty light pink azalea. But everything's grown up so much. Let's see if we can get over here to it. The wild azalea and the wild honeysuckle have such a lovely smell to them. I'm going to end up with ticks on me. I can feel it already. Hopefully not a bunch of baby ticks. The honeysuckle in particular, you can really find it blooming just by using your nose, just like the wild persimmon. The native, I think it's the American persimmon. The native persimmon, when they have fruit and the fruit's starting to get ripe, you can smell it very, Very nice smell. The only thing I found that kind of perfectly gets the smell, and it's a little bit different because it's probably, you know, like a farm or, you know, tree farm harvested oil, but they make a persimmon oil that people use for trapping, and I got some just to actually try and have the smell to somehow kind of make a fragrance, just to make it smell really nice inside the house. And that persimmon oil, it smells like it's a different type, but it's still really nice. So if you ever want to see, if you don't have any persimmons near you, if you want to know what they smell like, that persimmon oil is pretty handy. Now, again, this wild azalea is dying off. Most of the blooms are drooped off and falling off now, but we do have some really beautiful blooms still here. This camera again doesn't zoom that well, so hopefully, let's see if we can do it like this. No, it won't focus, unfortunately. But this smells beautiful. I know that doesn't make much sense, but very fragrant little plant here. There's a bunch of these still blooming. It's not hard to find them. A lot of stuff has begun to green out, a lot of leaves, or leaves. I'm losing track of talking today. We've got that one back there. That's the one I was pointing out earlier. We've got this one. We did have one back this way. You can almost find them by following the butterflies. You can look for the butterflies out here and they'll lead you to where it's at. So again, we've got a lot of growth down here where I just don't feel comfortable enough taking them down by the water's edge. But this area down here will be so grown up with different vines and briars and a lot of cover. Back in here where we were finding our glass bottles, I didn't get a chance to go get those. I'll have to pick those up when everything dies back in the fall. But all of that area back in here is going to be really nice cover for birds to nest in, other animals to bed down at. So it's going to be a really good little protected area. Because birds are nesting. Here's our other wild azalea right here. You can see where the other flowers died off and all that beautiful greenery on here. The birds are nesting right now. We haven't been able to follow up with it because we haven't been able to get any videos, but the eastern phoebe in the carport nest, she's doing really good. She's been taking care of her babies really well. There's a little butterfly going around. Coming over here. Probably going to the other one. Nope, might be going up there to the honeysuckle. But the eastern phoebe's doing well. And we've got a Carolina wren with a nest inside of an old mailbox. She's been doing really well taking care of those babies. And our wren in the goat barn, her babies have hatched. And they just peep, peep, peep every time you go down there. You guys have been doing so great about following along. I do believe he's still going to stay real small like Mom. We think maybe boar mix on her, but I think she might have some kind of like maybe a Nigerian dwarf or something in her. So maybe he got some smaller genetics there, but I think he's going to still stay pretty short. He hasn't sprouted up much. But he will be a year old soon. The kitty cats will be turning 3. They have their birthday coming up too. And Chicken Hawk just celebrated her 7th birthday. We've got some videos, but I can't edit all that, so we'll have to see what we can do, or save it until we have some availability to edit that. But everything's just really green, coming back in. So it makes it kind of difficult to go back through the woods like we were, so they'll definitely be ready for fall and winter when we get back to that point. We're going to go over here and look at the wild blackberries by the cabin here and see how that's coming along. We've got some wild muscadine vines. A bunch of muscadine grows out here. And these vines, if you ever have them and you're trying to clear a space out and you need to cut some vines back, they're really great for crafting. A lot of people will save those and make little wreaths with them. You can see how they grow so long, and if you have a really old growth vine, they're real thick around. You could almost probably make a walking stick out of one. They're so sturdy right there at the base, but they will just grow and grow. All of this came up since we lost our beech tree. We had the beech tree out here, and it got damaged and had to go down. And the stump has started to sprout back from that, but everything started growing up once we lost the beech tree. So you can see here we've got some of these white flowers. That's our wild blackberries that are starting to bloom out, and will eventually put on lots of little berries. Now, these younger vines like this, they'll produce a really, really small berry. But if you find some that have been growing good for a while, you'll find some really large wild blackberries. You can go down old dirt roads sometimes and find some of those vines like that. And we'll peek over here and see. I'll make sure she's out of the way here. But my chair that I sit in out here, I had it up under the eaves, and it has been taken over. Let's see if we can show you. Right there, there's a Carolina wren nest. She's got, trying to walk away, I don't want to get too close, but she's right up under the cover of the cabin. They build in the funniest places, and she built in the crook of my chair where I had the bag, the little storage bag laying over the seat. She built under the little storage bag and in the chair itself, and she's got 5 eggs in there. She's been doing really well sitting on those, hoping she'll have a successful nest. And the wrens are pretty they build in some weird places. Basically anything you have out in the open, they might nest in it. We've seen them nest on the ground under things that have been leaned up against, like a piece of tin leaned up against the side of a building. We've seen them build up really high in a nest box that was set up. They've built in paint cans, mailboxes, old hiking backpacks, inside the tractor. One usually always builds in the sawmill. Then we have one that would build inside the front of the truck. So you have to watch them. They will just build anywhere they please. They'll find a spot and settle down. So anything you start moving around during the spring, you have to be very careful, not only for other critters like snakes, spiders, but you might very well have a bird nest in something. If you haven't been moving it around and you decide to go move something, just be very careful. Now we do have, we had a cardinal family that built a nest in the rose bush. She was doing really well with that. She wasn't having any difficulty. Usually they're pretty sheltered right there. but her 3 eggs were lost at some point in the past few days. They had not hatched yet, but they are now entirely gone, which is very unfortunate. We don't have anything like any kind of predators that would watch how we go over there. We try to be very respectful of going to check the nest and not go in a pattern, so to speak, where, you know, she stays protected, making sure she's not on the nest before we approach. And it's very unfortunate because she built in this spot last year, and the first round of babies that she had did super well. They all fledged out, healthy little babies. She nested again, and unfortunately after they hatched, something got them. So I'm not sure if it's the same family or not, the same female, but she unfortunately had bad success with this nest. But even though we have the loss, we do have lots of life springing up, lots of other little baby birds, and we have, hopefully, our wild bunny friend has went off and started a family. We've been seeing one that I think is Otter down towards the garden. So I think Otter went down and met up with those rabbits that were living out in the garden and possibly started a family. Fingers crossed. Other than that, I can't think of too many more updates. Again, it's been a lesson learned. It's been a long time since I've had that gap in not having a phone. Just listening around here. But it's been a lesson learned of, I'll keep walking here, I'm just listening. This is where we saw that fox at before, so I have to be careful, make sure I'm watching for the goats. We know whose clone you are. You look just like your mama. But we don't have the phone to post anything right now. It's been almost 2 weeks without it. It had already been in pretty poor shape. As you know, if you've watched our streams, we kind of mentioned before that our speaker did not work too well on that. Some more wild blackberry blooms. But I finally dropped it, and the whole screen messed up on that, so it was time, unfortunately. But the phone that we got has been lost in transit since last Wednesday, so it's been a little bit of a mess. And I've learned how much you come to rely on phones, which is so different just from being a kid, where I remember my parents having their pagers and beepers, sending faxes, get off the internet, I've got to use the phone, that sort of thing. And it's been so much different where we've evolved to having phones that do everything for us. I'm very bad at math, so it's been difficult to not have a calculator basically in my pocket. I can't stream like I could, can't take videos. When it comes to going out and going to sales, trying to do some research on things I want to pick up, I can't do that. I have to use just what I've learned and use my knowledge. I can't do any research prior to picking something up. Contacting people is difficult. I don't really use the phone much, but for just getting in touch with family, it's been pretty difficult. And if I need to talk to my husband while I'm outside with the animals, I've just been using the walkie-talkies, which is pretty efficient. They're really good, decently long range. So that's been another thing of, you know, not being able to just sit there and send a text or call somebody. If you're in the general area, you leave a walkie and take it with you. So it's been a change. You're also finding ways to fill the gap of where you kind of distract yourself with your phone. You watch videos, do things on that. You're finding yourself outside a lot more, doing things that need to get done. Learning how it can be a distraction, sometimes more than a help. And then the computer with our editing software, the old laptop, it finally gave up on us. I was very fortunate that family went in and helped and got one for Christmas for me, but it doesn't have a CD drive to put my editing software on, so we're kind of at a standstill on editing things right now. So it'll just be solid videos like this until we can get a phone. But we hope you enjoyed going out for a little walk, just hearing some rambles about lessons learned from not having the phone for a while, seeing the goats and hanging out with them, seeing some of the things that are blooming, learning about some of the nests we have. And we hope you've all been doing well. We look forward to seeing you when we can get back to streaming. And we thank you for all of our new subscribers. It looks like we've had kind of an uptick on some of our videos getting watched. We thank you all for joining with us, and stay tuned. We were trying to be pretty active again, and it's slowed down without having the phone, so just bear with us. But we're looking like all these poplars right here, so many of them, poplars and sweet gums right here mainly. But we're looking like we've got clouds and it might rain on us, so we're going to get the goats put up. But as always, until we do get a chance to see you in our next live stream or video, take care for now, and thanks for watching. Bye, Yusuke.